So my reflection today, the 10th of January 2021. What an amazing session. There is so much going on behind the scene. You honestly, you've no idea. There's messages, updates, sharing screens, all sorts of different things. But you know what? We got through it. And the beautiful thing about this process is that when you're on screen doing what you're doing, it's sometimes not so obvious to other people just what you are kind of like involved in typing and sharing and watching what's going on and listening to what's going on. So you're going to be in for an amazing experience really of facilitating, and maybe you've had experience of facilitating before, but there's a different kind of facilitation in this process which you're going to discover, and all it's doing is helping you to step up into becoming the best you, helping you to reach your potential through helping to support by empowering somebody else to go through this process. So every single one of you are able to do this process more than everybody else that's yet to come, because they don't know how this process works. It's literally experiencing. So it's not even that we're telling anybody, we're just sharing our story, sharing the screen, and that's mainly it. Today's session we covered about the author, the creator, the co-creator of this process and their story. And we spoke a little bit about the couple of sentences that are needed, that it's really just a basic reflection of what you've already said in the book. And so it got me thinking about the case study part that I missed off saying at the end of the video that we just did in terms of our storytelling. And so I wanted to do it now. So obviously there's never a mistake in anything, there's a reason for everything. And so when we're doing case studies, what we're doing when I say case studies is really we're giving a summary of the persons that we're working with. And so this is going to be my summary of each of you in your titles. And so at the end of each book, there's obviously the name, the author, their title, and then there's a summary of their story. So what the books that we have that have been completed. And so I'm going to just read out life after compromise, life after chaos, life after dis-ease, life after betrayal, life after becoming vegan, life after self-doubt, life after confusion, life after separation from source, life after self-love and mental blocks, life after fall, chasing butterflies, life after self-neglect, which was law, and life after stress, anxiety, and depression. So let me tell you a little bit about each of these titles. So, Life After Compromise, this is Leanie's book. Now, Leanie, when it comes to compromise, Leanie would have been somebody who would often reflect of how much she compromised herself with her parents, with her sibling, I think it was a brother, and also with the family, and that it was a pattern of compromise, that women would compromise themselves. And so her role is to break out of compromise, is to put herself first. And I was delighted that she did that today. She had a migraine and decided to close the curtains and just stay in a dark place. So I hope that you're feeling better, Leanie. So these titles help to remind us where we've come from. Life After Chaos by Jerry Lee. So Jerry Lee's life was extremely chaotic. She would travel a lot with her husband Neil, and so she wanted to reflect about the chaos and about how illness had struck her life, with her husband being ill and then subsequently passing away with cancer. But she would talk about the chaos and then how there was a settling period before grief was struck upon their family. Life After Dis-ease, nearly Life After Procrastination by Andrea, but she transformed procrastination through breaking through and completing her book. So Life After Dis-ease is that uneasiness of being in a large family and being a nurturer right from day one, and that sometimes we have to stop and think, well, maybe this discomfort that's taking place of looking after everybody else, it maybe needs to be brought home to look after self. And that's where Andrew is right now, is looking, breaking through disease, creating ease in her life in order to be able to break through this big challenge that she's got in her life. But we're there with her, we're there walking alongside her. Life After Betrayal. So Helen came to us just in November, the end of November, and has completed her process within a 6-week window, which is absolutely fantastic and a great testimony to this process that you can do it, but you need that determination. So betrayal for her is about cheating, her ex-partner cheating on her, and that gave her the inspiration to step up into becoming a leader in helping others to push past the cheat of betrayal. And so now she teaches other women, other people, how to step above that and really help to heal relationships. Life After Becoming a Vegan by Tanya. Tanya's mission is to help the world, the universe, to really look at what we've got within our universe around us and to treat everyone on that same level playing field, to raise our standards of how we treat each other and animals. And from a young age, her feeling, her senses were very heightened about how to do that and why do we do that and to question why we do that. And now she's leading in international conversations around helping people to become more conscious of the foods that we eat and how we treat the animals that are around us to help those animals to be integrated back into our lives. Zoe, Life After Self Doubt, absolute amazing conscious mother who is there 100% a homeschooler and has to had built this process around her time and just integrating it completely into her life. The self doubt was her self doubt of believing that she is wise and she is conscious and that all that she had within her and that was demonstrating right from the moment she was born almost that is who she is. There is nothing to change. She is a shining example of what it means to be conscious from having grown up with a father who was deaf. She had to learn a different kind of communication. What Zoe needed was to be brought out of her shell and to help her, to remind her that she is wise and glorious and needs just to continue stepping up and speaking out. That's the main thing, is speaking out. Jackie, Jackie, Life After Confusion. When Jackie first started this process, she fell into confusion, but quickly really realized that actually some of those beginning chapters she'd addressed many, many years ago. But as she's continued through this process, some confusion can come in sometimes because it feels like it's been a default button. And it actually, confusion can also stop Jackie from feeling involved and loved unconditionally. This is a community for that. There is resistance, often can be a friend, but it also can be an enemy. And in our space, resistance can highlight to us what's going on. So I encourage you, Jackie, to keep on going. You've got it. Everything that you've always hoped for is right here. Just keep on going. Life After Separation from Source. When Tracy joined our process in 2018, Tracy was part of a marketing company that both of us were in. And her separation from Source was that she'd cut herself off from that main source, that inner guidance, that inner intuition, and that her validation came from outside, but actually she always knew that it was within. And what's been wonderful is to see Tracy step up from that place of resistance and confusion and to step into a place of clarity and questioning mind of a leader. I'm looking forward to seeing Tracy's journey grow even more as she connects more with Source and the true Christ consciousness that she is. Life After Self Love and um, Lack of Self Love, sorry, and Mental Blocks. May, it was fantastic to see you step up into the space today to share the screen, which from I know a very dodgy Wi Fi. Lack of self love. Reading and listening to May's story was obvious that May was looking outside of herself for validation in many things. In terms of the mental blocks, I'm not sure that I could witness much of your mental blocks. I feel as though the blocks that you had were just knowing that you was different from the majority of people and just that question in mind. And so to have that clarity throughout this process, hopefully that's given you that sense of, yeah, actually, the blocks weren't mental, they were things that I needed to question. Thank you so much for being on this journey. And then, last but not least, or two people actually, Life After Fall Chasing Butterflies. Wanda, you're the only person who's wrote this story in the third person. Now, I know that some people might question that in many ways, but it's lovely being introduced to Mimi, and I'm hoping that you bring Mimi to the launch because writing in the third person, listening to your story, a very, very powerful story, but also as well a real journey that you've taken. And I know that you own all the things that happened to you in that sports story. You're not talking to the third person as though to become detached. I know that that is you. And I think it's a lovely way to have been able to express your story just as unique as you are. Life After Self Neglect is Lahila's book. That was the first book that she wrote. And it was really interesting. The story to tell is that when she came to the end of the book, she was thinking about life after compromise, life after um, finding love, and kind of like really a soft kind of title. And I remember, I remember saying to her, excuse me, as she was talking about the actual story, it was kind of like getting a picture of the overview of it and thinking, here's a lady who had given, dedicated her life to her children, her three children, and had moved across the country to be in a place where she could live as a vegetarian almost, vegan almost, where she could, where the rolling hills met the sky, and where she could have her children, homeschool her children, or send them to private kind of earth school so that they would grow up being conscious. And she made that sacrifice and leaving her family behind in order to be able to find that in the northeast, where I met La and just we battled through so much. And so what I saw over the years is that she dedicated her life so much to community, doing part-time hairdressing in the community, in community homes with people with learning difficulties. And as a result of looking after her children, just 100%, she really did give more than probably most parents that I know. She gave her all to her children. But one of the biggest things she gave all of them was a huge amount of love, which they miss completely, and I miss too, because that love was something that just emanated from her. You didn't need to be even sat near her; you just be in her vicinity, and you would feel that. So she gave so much that she neglected herself, and that's why self neglect for me was the title that I could hear. And when she sat with it, she resonated because she was trying to deny that actually she actually had neglected herself. And then my title, Life After Stress, Anxiety, and Depression, as somebody who walks the talk. I believe in walking the talk. I believe it's the new qualification. I believe that we are teaching people to tell their story as that qualification. And for me, being given a title by the doctor, Stress, Anxiety, and Depression, which really was related to a, a charity mistake that they wouldn't admit to, was a real anchor for me. So this title always anchors me into stress, anxiety, and depression was about speaking out and not being silenced. That was what the problem was. I was being silenced. And so to break that silence means to abolish stress, anxiety, and depression. That's our titles so far. We do have another title, which is Sharika. So I'm hoping Sharika steps up with the chapters so that she can take part in this part of our Empowering Angels. We are launching on the 21st, as we all know, but let's just keep that in our minds and just hold space and invite family and friends as our qualifications are to be received. In the meantime, if you're able to produce the 10 testimonials in between now and then, we'll meet up again next Sunday just to update. And yeah, because we're launching the week after, which is just like, oh my goodness. So I will be getting your books out to you if you're able to get those back, and then we can work on the videos as well. So if you're able to at least do part one of the videos, which is 5 lots of the videos, then that's just going to help in the long run when it comes to setting our websites up so that people can join the process and begin the process. I'm looking forward to this ride. It's going to be amazing. There is still a lot of work to do. So even though it might feel like we have climbed a big hill, we've got a few more to climb. I thank you so much. My mouth's drying up. I thank you so much for listening, and hope that that's been useful in terms of just giving you a bit of feedback in terms of the book process. And the case study thinking is that, we're placing people into a kind of, this is, Anthea Fenton, professional social worker, counsellor, lecturer, manager of a voluntary organisation, charity. Book title, Stress, Anxiety and Depression, as a result of working within a fraudulent action. And then what's the other part of the case study? And that's more or less it. And the intention is that we're penciling an overview of each person that comes into this space so that when we put those up into our public space, public areas as marketing, people will be able to see the kind of people that have been involved in this process, and hopefully they'd think, oh, I'm included. I feel, feel like they're part of this community before they even join. Thank you so much, everybody. See you next Sunday. Bye bye.